virus.
Welcome to Come After Hours. We have a little more time to kind of like loosen the belt, take the buttons off.
I'm keeping everything on.
Do my
There you go. More time to talk about stuff alongside the great Brandon McGee, the coach.
Always a coach. Once a coach, always a coach.
Johnny Mack, in the broadcast part of the program about a few seconds ago, we talked about the special session, which just ended up. A guy like Joe McGee, who spent. Joe Irasimus. Well, you got.
I don't mind. Who is Joe McGee?
Joe McGee
is actually very active in the
guy.
Fairfield County. Does a lot of economic development. Is advised Governor Malloy and others.
And was commissioner of DECD under Weicker.
Yeah,
a good guy. That's why I had
was
this
a chief of staff for a certain congressman.
Congressman.
That's right.
always learn a lot.
There you go. Well, Google that. All right.
Asking you shall receive, Brandon.
A to Z. So you said on the broadcast you didn't stay for the whole thing.
I didn't stay for the Senate, which
Senate.
everybody
Why
I
would
think
you?
watching understands.
Right.
It's their arguments are a little too long because there's so few of them.
Right.
I went up, I said hello to folks, I got a gist of what they were doing, but I stayed for the House.
Okay.
And one of the things I used to say when I was Speaker was, look, if we have the votes,
Did you
we
hang
vote.
out at like Ritter's office and like watch it on the television set, you know?
I went into Ritter's office with a client. Other than that, I didn't see him much. He had his hands full. But, there's a lot of times when you have the votes, you vote. And when you don't have the votes, you talk. And that's part of the beauty of our system. And we saw on play on the minority side. But there was a lot of folks that just felt this issue was so important that they had to get up and talk about it. In the end, what did we do? We created a $500 million fund that will go back towards paying the pension if it's not used by February 4th. I think that's really key, so there's no rush to spend it, but it's there in case we need it. The housing bill, I think they got it as far as they could. Still work to do. One of the highlights to me, being 55 years old now, is looking more at single family, smaller, affordable, because there's many people my age that are now empty nesters that want to downsize. Those houses aren't available either. If we can downsize, we can open it up for the others in an affordable way. I think overall it was a good day. Special session's always scary for the leaders because it can go off the rails pretty quick, but they held it together, both Marty and Vinny and Matt and Jason. I can go through the list, but Vinny and Matt's relationship really is a foundation that's keeping that General Assembly.
I got to hear this from Liz again.
I'll let Brandon go.
Go ahead.
And Vinny voted.
The bill also, housing bill, also included establishing the Department of Housing as a housing authority, allowing them to develop directly on state land. And I think that is a huge deal and a great opportunity for the state of Connecticut. So, as
on that note, though, I do wonder if that's not an end run around on the constitutional amendment that was passed back in 2018 regarding land conveyance. Yeah. I did work on that amendment campaign, which passed overwhelmingly by the public. And I do have concerns about that because I think that when you rush, one of the issues, and we could talk about process, when you rush a bill like this through a special session, you don't have the benefit of vetting it through the public. So there's no hearings. When they're crafting the legislation, it's all put together very quickly. And John, you spoke to some of the issues that are in just the language. Maybe intent is different from what is actually written in the bill. And I think that is hugely problematic. And whether it would have happened in regular session, I can't speak to that, but I do have real concerns about the land conveyance issue and the state developing these lands. And I wouldn't be surprised if you don't hear a lot from environmental advocates who are concerned about protecting open space.
But I do think when it comes to the state and its ownership development of housing, that is critical when we're really talking about supportive housing. When we're talking about attacking the issue of homelessness.
That's right.
Because you're not going to get developers doing that.
You're not.
And we know what the solution is, but there isn't a private solution to that. You need to have a place where people who are homeless can come have a shelter.
That's right.
And in addition to having the shelter, they have all of the services that they need, because we know people are homeless because they either have mental health, they have addiction issues, they have economic issues, or maybe their spouses who've been beaten and they needed to flee the home. They have some issues that need to be resolved in order for them to be in stable
Wasn't there a
living.
former congressman
Yeah,
that used
there
to talk
was.
about?
But to Liz's point, one quick point. There are things in this bill that I think are good, but I don't think they've written it correctly. So, for example, part of this bill requires OPM to make decisions, and it says OPM shall make this decision on this application within 120 days. Shall make a decision. Then it says, but if they don't, the majority leaders roundtable, which is a bunch of unelected appointed people, can make the decision. I don't know what that means. If they shall make a decision, why is there a backstop? The other problem is, for some of these as-of-right developments, there doesn't appear to be any avenue for an aggrieved party to appeal. And in all of our local zoning stuff, you have an application, you oppose it, one side wins, one side loses, they have the right to appeal to Superior Court. It's not evident to me that that right is even in this bill.
Would that make this unconstitutional?
I think it presents a lot of legal problems, and I don't know the answers to it. I'm not sure they know
Hey guys,
how it's going to end.
let's go to a quick clip of Republican Senator Harding kind of wigging out over the bill. Watch this.
It is statewide zoning because the state of Connecticut is coming in and telling local zoning boards how to develop their housing plans. And part of that is half-acre zoning, basically allowing for huge level of developments with no restrictions. That's the state coming in and telling the local municipality that. It's essentially requiring them to have a certain amount of low-income housing in certain areas of their towns. So how you can't say that the state coming into local towns and saying, this is how you are going to develop your towns, otherwise we're going to punish you. How that's not statewide zoning, I don't know what is.
What do you think, guys?
Look, we know how these projects go, and I think my esteemed former colleague, who I actually named the housing chair, could speak to it more. This is the constant tail chasing, because the municipalities, as soon as they get blowback from any of their folks, and they say it in multiple different ways, they just chicken out and they walk away. And then they let the court decide, and then they come back and they yell at people like Brendan that this is the legislature, they're allowing this to happen. Well, come to the table and really work with them. And I think that's what it's going to do more so. I hope we avoid the fights that Senator Harding's referred to.
Reminiscent of Schiff versus O'Neill.
Thank you.
Oh, God,
But
let's not even have that
I think what Senator Harding is saying, and I heard a lot of really good conversations from House Republicans, is, we're a small state, but we're a very diverse state. We have some really small communities, rural communities, smaller towns, where the as of right, you get to take any commercial building and turn it into residential, could really upset what that town looks like and how they build. Vinnie Candelar talked very openly about how there was an attempt to take a grocery store in Brantford. You could make it residential housing. Brantford doesn't have a grocery store. That's the type of stuff that without the planning done on the local level could lead to. And the other
But I don't think the plan right now is absent of the local or municipalities being a part of the process. It's a partnership model. And so this idea that the sky is falling and you're taking away all of our control is farthest from the truth.
No, I'm not saying you're taking away all the control.
No, but that's the narrative that's being created, and it's not cool.
But you are giving commercial property.
You're incentivizing towns.
But you're giving commercial property owners the right. Zoning cannot object to turn that into residential. And that could lead to problems, because not every commercial building should be turned into housing.
I agree.
Well, and I think, maybe some of the discussion moving forward would be incorporating it more and marrying it to the plan of conservation and development, which the municipalities are required to, and they can go in ahead of time and earmark specific tracts for just commercial development, but they have to be flexible. And I think what they're really trying to get at is a lot of these older mills, a lot of these older properties.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to preserve them. Right now, it's been proven the best way to do it is through housing.
Yeah.
But the problem is, in almost any town, that commercial strip mall is more valuable as housing than it is as a commercial strip mall. So I think all that planning should have been done first, and then.
Fair enough.
Guys, the other bill they passed in the special session was to give some money to UConn to help them buy Waterbury Hospital. We all agree that's a good idea. Ned Lamont is rolling out, as he goes through his campaign tour last Friday, what he calls the Connecticut option. He's going to try to get all the hospitals together, sit them down in a room and try to figure out a way that he does Ned Lamont care. What do you think, guys?
I think you need to do it. It does work. We've seen it. He joined and helped organize the New England coalition around healthcare. I think if we can save money on some of the costs at these healthcare systems, you look at somebody like Bristol Hospital and what Kurt was trying to do over there and standing it up. If this system can come in place to where it's an ongoing revenue source, that the fees that the patients are charged are a lot lower, I think we're off to a good start, and it doesn't interfere generally with either the Obamacare, which we hope gets the subsidies, and the private market.
Well, I think when you look at examples, you look at what Governor Romney did in Massachusetts, right? I mean, I think that's this is not a Democrat-only idea, and frankly, the way in which it's done is important. I think we can't come to the table and say intrinsically no, but I think there have to be conversations about how does this work? What is the liability of the taxpayer? What is the process that people are able to participate in, and all of those things? And I think Massachusetts is an important example for is that being done properly? What are the lessons that we can learn from that? And how can we make it more effective in Connecticut if this is the direction that we're going? But I think it's important to start with that partnership at the caregiver level. And we have some phenomenal caregivers in Connecticut. Hartford Health has shown its ability to do that far and wide. And I think we need to involve them in the conversation and allow them to be driving.
But I think this is a part of the process, right? Ned Lamont convening and bringing all of the
bringing Romney into Connecticut.
I think
Why not?
Why not? Right.
Politically, calling a statewide option probably helps with the Josh Elliott wing of the party. But look, we've known this. Connecticut is dominated by 2, now 3 healthcare systems: Yale New Haven Health, Hartford Healthcare, and Northwell, which is the largest healthcare provider in New York State, purchased Nuvance, which is Norwalk Hospital, Danbury Hospital, et cetera. UConn couldn't survive that, and they couldn't survive the pay scale that they have because of state employees. So UConn expanding, as Joe, you mentioned, this is their last chance. If it doesn't work, I don't think we see a UConn hospital survive. It'll be swallowed up somewhere by Hartford Healthcare, and the state employees will all be gone.
And we should really look at centers of excellence, right? There are certain hospitals that do things very well. You know, St. Francis, they're really making some progress on the colon rectal care.
Me too.
That's their area.
My kids were born there.
You look at Hartford Healthcare. You know, when it comes to cardiac care, they're knocking the cover off the ball. Look at some of the areas, find the centers of excellence, and then have the support. If you can get the hospitals around the table under this option to where they have that steady stream of reliable payment, we can do great things.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we're talking about the MRF in New Hampshire when we get back. I bet you he was hoping the snow was going to be flying up there. Right, guys.
A little skiing.
It was flying.
Welcome back to California After Hours. The MRF was in New Hampshire. He had 2 planned stops up there. A lot of the New Hampshire papers and the New Hampshire blogs, or whatever they're called, blogs, you know, independent journalism, always made mention of him being a 28er. And Liz, in the broadcast part of the program, said that she thinks that he's going after minority/majority leader of the Senate.
He knows he can't run for president. He doesn't have the juice. He doesn't have the position. This is about him building a larger platform for himself, and let's just call that what it is. He is the only one talking about himself in the presidential circle.
Why not?
I've seen no polls, and he's been out there a lot. He's like on MSNBC like
any.
daily. But Stephen A. has polled above him.
Correct.
So
Kamala Harris polls above him.
But I think it's a larger strategy on his part in helping to galvanize all of these community advocates and voices and folks, these political organizers throughout the country.
Right, before Murphy takes a hit on him, let's watch a little clip of the Murph up there in New Hampshire.
What do you do when the President of the United States is trying to weaponize harm to the American public against the opposition party? We ended the shutdown because people of good faith looked at what was happening. People being denied their nutrition benefits, illegally, by the way, by this president. Federal employees missing another paycheck, and said, I just want it to stop. But I just want to be honest with you. This is the story of how democracies die. that would-be autocrats impose pain on the people and then force the opposition party to sue for peace without any concessions to protect the democracy or to protect people.
Murph always looks like he's like on the Senate floor with a microphone clipped
does.
on. He has that like
The long mic.
yeah, the long mic. He has that cadence where he pauses and talks.
That works in the Senate,
Yes,
but it doesn't
yeah.
work in a
Yeah.
campaign.
He's more conversational. And then he'd be like
You
Josh.
gotta run around like you with your hair on fire.
Well, like Josh
yelling
Shapiro.
at people.
Josh Shapiro's screaming at people during his speech as governor of Pennsylvania. All right, McKinney, have at it. Have at it.
I mean, we've talked about the severe shift of Senator Murphy since Donald Trump was reelected. In 2013, we had a Democrat president, and the Democrats were in charge of the Senate, and Republicans were threatening to not vote to reopen the government. Republicans weren't going to vote for a CR. And Chris Murphy got on the Senate floor, and he said, we should debate health care. We should debate these important issues. But you cannot use those issues as leverage to shut down the government because of the pain it was caused. Chris Murphy has done a complete 180 and said that, yes, we should use healthcare as leverage to hurt our men and women in the military, to hurt our, air traffic controllers, to hurt people. Brandon, people were being hurt. And Democrats are still mad that other Democrats didn't keep the government shut down. That's just a fact.
It's true.
So why is Chris Murphy have an exactly different position he did? One is they're in the minority and there's a Republican president. The other is he has ambitions. He has ambitions. The Chris Murphy who was the negotiator with John Cornyn on guns, the Chris Murphy who was the negotiator with James Lankford, very conservative senator from Oklahoma, on the border, that negotiator can never be the Democratic leader of the Senate.
There was an article,
it can never be a
article in the
Democratic
Mirror
leader
about
president.
that he was the negotiator, and he was getting both sides together
Correct.
and brokering deals on
and now
guns
he's
and whatever.
decided to just be partisan because of his ambitions.
Because it raises him more money. I bet it'll sell him a lot of books too. That's next.
Look, my hope is this, and we know how this all works. You got to have a block of votes to be considered at the table. I think, for Chris, he does speak truth to power. I think for Chris, his avenue is either being the new or the next generation of the line of the Senate or getting into a cabinet level position. And hopefully, John, because we've sat at this table and you have, as a Republican, given kudos for the work in those areas when he was doing that negotiating. That does have to come back, but right now I think he sees it, as many of us do, as a point of crisis, and he's amped it up. He'll come back.
I don't
Chris
think
isn't
Rubio
changing.
and Vance are going to put him in their cabinet.
I don't think they're going to win again.
Well, Republicans are certainly more organized at the national level than Democrats. I think when you look at what happened in the midterm, Democrats will most likely make headway in the midterm, but they are not prepared for a national campaign. They will be able to fight this out at the congressional level. I think they are going to lose the Senate. I think particularly after the shutdown at their own hands. The fact that they voted, 15 times to keep the government shut down in important states, that is going to play a huge role.
That probably I'll lose a lot
It's
of
after
support.
hours, so go ahead.
A lot of people watch after hours, but I think it's important. I stand on the side of keeping the government shut down until we agreed upon on an affordable health care package that will help millions of people, right? Not just these, I won't go down that rabbit hole, but why not? Why not? And so I just want to get back to what you were saying, Johnny, earlier, because I didn't complete my thought. You said, there's a different Chris here. There should be a different Chris. It's a different time. It's under a different administration who creates all kinds of chaos and no real true strategy or plan moving forward on behalf of the American people, right? And so here we are today. We're still trying to figure out, okay, what's the end goal here, right? What is the end goal? Are we really going to have a package that's going to support everybody? And I don't think so. I do not think so.
Did our healthcare system break when Donald Trump was sworn in as president? Or has it been broken for a long time? Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, was designed to help fix a broken system.
Indeed.
It has not worked as an affordable option.
What's the solution?
Exactly, Brandon. So you want to shut down the government waiting for Republicans and Democrats in Washington to come up with a solution on the healthcare problem that for the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, they haven't been able to solve.
But I'm still not hearing a solution.
But-
What is the
but-
Democrat
Keep the government
solution?
shut
What's the
down until
Republican
they
solution?
keep
I will
people
say
in
this.
pain.
Starve the people from their...
I think it's clarified the issue both for the policymakers and the American people, because Obamacare was talked about as this nebulous thing off to the side that sort of people understood. If anything, the shutdown did, and I'm one of those to where I think it was just hurting too many people. It did need to end. It has clarified the issue, and if you look at the polling, and Liz and I tend to look at the polling, it's now way up there, and people are looking for the solutions, and hopefully they come.
It's enriched
I'm glad
insurance
that
companies.
you have the big heart.
That's what
you
it's
want to play
done.
the middle, but I got to tell you, this shutdown has raised a lot of red flags, at least from my perspective, as a person of color, a person who lives in an urban center, and I've heard from multiple stakeholders on the importance of making sure that people have access to proper health care. Right? And right now, premiums will go up soon. And folks are opting out of health care.
All right, guys.
Right?
One
So
more.
It's like a death sentence.
One more break to go. We'll be back soon. Don't go away. Let's do it. All right, guys. We are back on Cal Report. Guys, what grinds your gears?
Wow.
Wow.
Where do we
Okay.
begin?
We got to revisit last week. We still don't have anything on YouTube TV for all the things we want to watch, and I think YouTube TV is ultimately going to lose a lot of customers unless they figure that out. I'm now paying for ESPN and other things separately. They better figure it out. I'm telling you.
Can I not have ground down gears? Can I celebrate something? The Supreme Court did not take up the opposition to gay marriage. I want to say that is a critically important right, a civil right, and I am very happy that did not happen.
McGee, what grinds your gears?
I have too many. John, you go first.
No, I've got too many.
Yeah, we got
Well, I mean, somebody's got to pick one. How about
I
I'm
mean,
over
look.
6'7"?
How
Can
about
we
I
be
put
done
up
with
the top?
6'7"?
Yeah.
What is 6'7"? I don't understand
do I have
It's
to
dumb.
explain
I'm
this
gonna
to you
keep-
again?
I'm going to start saying it
Well,
too.
interesting. You should.
Well, I like
you
Ned
should-
Lamont,
you should talk-
6'7". I don't know if
Well,
you saw
so
his Instagram.
so
page.
And does he win with 56, 7?
New Milford State Rep, Republican, Santa Claus, who does a great Santa Claus
Buckby.
in here every year, Bill Buckby, did a viral 6'7". Of course, he is from the 67th.
He is.
And it was reporting in Hearst that there was met with groans and mixed laughter.
Well, that's usually what happens at my house because I hear it nonstop. And then apparently my son has been communicating with Senator McKinney over here because I hear it from him
But
constantly.
it is cringeworthy. But Buckby is like a
It's
grown
not
man.
cringeworthy.
This
I've
is a-
done it on the
it's
show.
a-
My kids think it's hilarious.
It's a meme for middle schoolers.
Yes.
Right.
Middle schoolers.
Because what the adults understand
You have to be
is
relatable.
if they use it a lot,
Kids will
the
stop.
kids are going to be like, oh, that's gross, you've ruined
Yes.
it, and they'll stop.
Well, that's
But
right.
God,
it's
they'll
not
stop.
just 6'7". Now it's also 41. Like they don't just do the 6'7".
Did you see Speaker Ritter's reaction? Buckby says, well, you know why it's the best district? And he's like, no. And then he said 6'7", and Matt said, no.
What's the 41?
Well, Matt has a 10 and a 12-year-old. He acknowledged that this is something he hears in his home constantly, and I know that because I have a 10 and a 12-year-old, and this is all I hear in my home. And God bless these teachers. Are you okay? Because I am sure if I'm hearing it at home, I can only imagine
Hear it nonstop.
how it's. Can you imagine a math class and you're teaching math to?
6 times 7.
I can't.
6 minus 7.
I can't. They can't say. They can't
Am I good?
speak. My heart goes out to you. God bless you. I hope.
I
Stay
asked Joe-
strong.
I
We're
asked Joe
working
if he
on
knew
it.
Jenny's number.
Oh,
The old
8, 6,
song.
7, 5,
It's
6,
real
7,
time.
5.
We had.
Oh, we have fallen
we
far
had-
afield from the
We
Capitol
had
Report
369.
That's right. You have to do a lot of Googling.
Today. Yeah, you want to hide your phone number? *67.
There you John.
I'm not that young.
John, did you used to have the party line?
All right, guys, that's going to do it.
I had a
for
beeper.
After hours,
Hey, yo,
where
I beat
McKinney
you.
gets
Why
another
you ain't
shot
got
at
me
the
back?
cup. Let's see what you got.
All right,
Let's see what
come
you got,
on.
McKinney.
Take it seriously.
Liz.
Oh, that was not.
I'm going for the high loft from now on.
I wanted to
Go with the high loft.
I wanted to try my dunk again.
Because the benefit of the high loft is if it actually hits in right, it might splash the water onto it.
You tried to bounce it once, too.
Yeah, I did.
Did you ever win a beer pong or quads?
That was
or
so
anything?
funny.